Hi, I'm Dr. Ruth Anderson with Enlightened World Network. Welcome to this episode of Enlightened Women. Grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and make yourself comfortable. Enlightened Women is a show about women who are living lives walking in alignment with their soul's calling. In these episodes, we not only talk about what these amazing women are bringing to the world, but what they are currently learning as a spiritual being having a physical experience. Today, I'm delighted to bring you Keleena Malnar. Keleena brings light and beauty whenever I see her. And for this interview, Divine Mother entered the room to join us. Keleena is a way shower and spiritual teacher in service to teach and guide humanity through their ascension process. She is also a multidimensional quantum energy healer who has been described as one who knows the power of the heart. Keleena offers spiritual guidance in divine love and grace, and I encourage you to check out her Facebook page or her website and watch her light language activations to get an idea of the profound connection that she has with the spiritual divinity. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Keleena. Keleena, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate sitting here from you. It's an honor.
So, Keleena, I know you have been doing a great deal of traveling lately to do your work. Can you take a minute and share with us what is it that you really are currently doing?
Yes. So when I travel, Spirit actually guides me of where I need to go, to sacred places, working at grid points. They call it pivotal access points is what they call it when they tell me, which to me that never consciously makes sense. So I have to stay in my higher self and just, allow myself to go. I go to different areas where there's different ley line structures, but it's usually like where they come together. They're like activations. They come together as activation points on the grid. And so I've been taken to different areas all across the different countries to do those things. A while ago it was for like cleanup, doing some kind of cleanup work. But this year in 2019, it's been for assisting and balancing the feminine and masculine energy. So I've really been working with Lemurian energy this year and amplifying the Lemurian energies in the grid. So this year I've been to Sedona, where I have done it there, and then just recently Hawaii and 3 islands. And then I will be in Mount Shasta in August, where I'll be conducting events. I actually just posted it today, but while I do these things, it's amplifying the energies. So it actually created, for the Sedona, Hawaii, and Shasta, it actually created the divine feminine, the inverted triangle, which if you go across the map to the opposite side of the United States where Atlantis was, that was the masculine triangle. So to amplify these energies, there's many of us that are doing it. We're connecting to this and amplifying these energies. It's creating balance. And then in 2020, the harmony comes in. So we have the two making what some people know it as, it's just a balance symbol, but they keep telling me David's Solomon, seal. There's so many different names for it. Merkaba, that's what it's creating. So it's bringing in the harmony. So that's what I've been doing. But in different years, it's been different things, because it started for me way back. First time I went to Hawaii was 2000. I did cleanup there. So that's some of the stuff. Not everything. I work on the waterways as well. A lot of water activations with light codes and singing light language and with the elementals, connecting with nature and the animals. And when I do that, and the animals that are listening, they tend to come around and receive the light codes or whatever's come through me. Then they take those light codes off. It's like a domino effect, and transfer it to the other animals. It's amazing. Spirit showed me that just recently. I was like, wow, now I get it.
Has this been a lifelong journey for you, or did this happen for you later in life? Because the life you are living is so different than the life most people are living. So how did that happen for you?
Well, what I know from, I mean, I've been awake somewhat since I was born. I've always heard, I've always had telepathic communication with my guides. I've always seen angels and I've seen the elementals. Um, so I've always been awake in some state of being. It just has, I've been like totally changing that as I'm going. So when I was a child, as an empath, a lot of us that are empaths, when we go to different places, we do that cleanup. We pull in that negative energy. There's a lot of us that do that, and we transmute that energy into Mother Earth. So I would say, yes, I've been doing the cleanup stuff since I was a child, because I would physically feel it. It would make me sick, to the point where when I would have to go lay on Earth, and that's when I would start feeling better. So not really being aware when you're a child that that's what you're doing. I'm sure many people out there weren't aware. But as I got older, I started doing automatic writing and more stuff. I've always had psychic awareness and things like that. But the singing on the light language came in 2015. So that was a change.
Has it been tricky for you to have relationships with people that aren't into divine light? How does that work?
Well, I was married for 17 years, but I awakened more like in 99 when I was pregnant with my daughter. I was actually going through, what do they call it? Vertigo. And actually that's just part of ascension. So I was going through that part of ascension. It was 98, 99. I was going through that, awakening more. And with the birth of her in 2000, I awakened even more, and I was doing automatic writing instead of just hearing my guides and connecting to the angels, the Divine Mother. I work with the Divine Mother, all the Mother's presence all the time. And I try to introduce, the automatic writing and stuff to my ex-husband, who when the answers were right for him, he accepted it. But when the answers were right, he shut it down, and it caused, I would say conflict and non-belief, because he's from a very Catholic family. Even the family didn't believe. So as I grew even more, it ended the marriage because there were accusations at me that weren't true. And so it ended the marriage.
It just seems to me that for a number of women, the most growth comes when they're not in a relationship, or they're totally free to just step into their own power without having to worry about how is my spouse or my partner going to accept these changes for me.
Right. Well, my deeper awakening really empowered me to stand in my truth and be who I am. And I wasn't going to allow anyone to take that away from me anymore, because I had to hide that. When you're married to someone who's an executive that's in a very 3D world, but you're totally opposite, it doesn't work. And many times you're in a location also where the people around you are the same. So you have to make a choice of what's best. And, I knew what my mission was here. And I actually, during that time, also had a walk-in happen with me. So I went, the soul changed. My higher soul came in, and that switched. So I was like, I woke up on January 1st. It was January 1st, 2015. And I was totally different. I was a totally different person. It was my lower soul had completed what it needed to. And so higher soul, higher aspect of yourself comes in. And it was a totally different change. And from that point on, I was like totally embracing my fullness and empowering myself in the goddess energy, and not allowing anybody to tell me how I should be, who I should be, what I should do, how I should look. And everything changed. So with someone else in the picture that doesn't accept you, yes, it's hard. But I feel if you have someone in your life that is like you, that is open and aware and awake, I feel like that it is okay, and you won't have those issues. For me, it was an issue, and it didn't work. So, and I grew from being alone.
Oh, sure, of course. When you woke up and this more enlightened soul, this other aspect of your soul had come in, and the lower aspect of your soul had left, what was that like for your children? Did you understand what was happening?
So here's what happened. When that happened, I actually was given the review of me birthing my children. Okay, so I knew their mind, but I was also given visions of them with me in past lives. And I was given a vision of them choosing me as their mother again. So I received that. I don't know what other people receive, but I received that. So I knew I had that heart connection with my children, and I recognized them, and I was given the energy to recognize them. So I did that. Now, with my ex-husband, I did not recognize him at all. And the energy was not the same vibration, the same frequency. And I remember looking at him and thinking, who is this man? And when I would go to sleep at night after that, I would have to be far enough away from him in the bed because his energy was so different from mine. I couldn't handle it. So it's a big change. It is a big change, and it actually creates a huge change in your life when something like that happens.
So it was really like a death to your old self to embrace your new self.
Yeah, you can look at it like that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And did you go 100% willingly into this new life, or were there parts of your life that you weren't quite ready to let go of yet?
I would like to say that when that happened, I was very aware of everything that was happening, and I knew what I needed to do. It was like every day in the moment, I knew this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. This is my next step, and I did it. I was out in nature every day. I was doing what I needed to do. I was taking some healing courses to receive the certificates, even though I was already healing, but I needed a certificate because that's what the state wants from you. So I was doing those things. Everything was like boom, 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 in alignment. And just stay on my path in alignment. And while I was in alignment, it was causing conflict for my ex-husband because it was no longer his alignment, because I was no longer the wife I used to be. I was still the mother I used to be, but I wasn't the wife I used to be anymore. You know, I stood in my power. I'm like, I need to do things for me. I took back who I am. When before I gave everything away, there was never time for me. And instead I turned it around. It just turned around, and it completely changed. Where my focus was my soul's journey, was my children and my soul's journey.
You spend time, my guess is it's just sort of a constant connection to spirit, rather than I wake up every day and I spend half an hour in prayer. Is it just an open door for you?
I can hear when I get up, the first thing I hear is I hear guidance, or I feel that divinely connection because I'm a conduit. I've been called a pure source conduit. And as this conduit, I just have connection constantly. And I even know that there's a portal here where I live right now, and I have connection all the time. And when I leave here, I will close this portal and open it the next place I live. So I always have that constant connection. I can hear if I ask a question or I address someone, I can address the Divine Mother. I can address, Saint Germain, and I'll get an answer like that. That's how open I am now as a conduit for them. I'm a conduit for a source. So the connection is always there. And so I always know this, and I'm stay in the moment. It's like, it keeps you in the moment. It absolutely does. There's no veil.
Has Spirit ever suggested something to you, like a next step, or gosh, why don't you go to, I know you were open to going to Sedona, but has Spirit ever suggested something to you and you thought, I don't want to do that? Have you ever said, nope, not doing that?
Oh, yes. Just recently, well, I mean, it's been another time, but just recently, this that just happened to me in May was the meeting of whom I'm going to call my sacred partner. And he's actually I'm doing my Lionsgate event with. I met him. He actually had been trying to friend me on Facebook for a year and a half. And I didn't know it because there's so many people that were trying to friend. You don't see them all, you just don't. So I scrolled through and I liked his energy and he was in his yoga position. And I'm like, hey, he's got good energy. I'm clicking him. So he had said to me that day when I friended him, he said, why now? And I never answer people I don't know. And so I was like, that's an intriguing question. So I just put a question mark. It ended up, we had conversations, and within a couple days, our energy was merging. And then every time I tried to pull back or he tried to pull back, there were signs from spirit saying, don't pull back, don't pull back. I would be behind a car. I was driving on the road and I was behind a car pulled in front of me, and the license plate was his name, William. Then I was seeing all these things. He was going through the same stuff too. We were trying to like just step back because everything happened so fast, but spirit would constantly give you the synchronicities and the messages going, push you right back together. And so yes, I have said no, but they're like, nope, this is the path, this is the alignment, this is where you're supposed to be. And that's how it works. So when we're completely in that vortex and we try to get out of that vortex, they push us back in. That's what I feel anyway.
Right. Is there any part of your work that is Keleena doing what Keleena wants to do, or are you really to a place of pretty much everything you're doing is spirit led?
I still do things where I want to have fun as a human because I'm being taught that I need to have fun. I'm being taught that I need to be human, integrating being a human with being spirit at the same time, with being my higher self or, aspect of myself. That was hard for me because I was always work. And now I'm like, okay, I need to have fun. And they're actually bringing this in now. So I just enjoyed when I had to go to Hawaii to do that work, I took my kids with me. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take them and have fun with them because who knows when the next time this would ever happen. Because they're 17 and 19. And I just allowed everything to happen and go, and I had fun with them. And I want to say at this higher level, we have to learn to have fun. We have to experience earth life. At the lower level, you experience it in the 3D, but at the higher 4D, 5D, it's different. It's almost like starting to learn how to live again, if that makes sense.
So many women, light workers, are work, and not very much play. So I understand that.
Right. Absolutely. Playing is a part of this process because we are our part of the ascension process is actually moving into joy, joy, divine love, bliss. And we need to experience the joy out here, as above, so below. We need to experience in both places, not just when we're doing the work that Spirit has us doing in that higher level all the time. Like when I do the light language, I get really high and I'm in bliss all the time. I have to also learn how to play down here and receive that bliss in other ways. Everybody does. So that's part of the embodiment with ascension. As above, we're bringing all we are above, our purest and highest divine source light into us in the physical body. So as we're doing that, we have to learn down here to be as we are up there.
I have been told many times to bring body, mind, and soul together in my work. And I know for me, the tricky part is the body part. The mind and the soul I've got working really nicely together, but for me, it's the body part that's a little tricky. And I've had days where I'll wake up and I know they've been working with me in the ethereal realm at night. And I literally have to wait a little bit to get my body to catch up to where my soul is. Have you ever had that experience where you just have to wait it out or go into meditation or take a nap just to get yourself in sync again?
Yes. Yes, I've actually gotten up at times where I've tried to get up and walk, and I feel like when a baby starts to learn how to walk and they're lifting their legs really high, it's like it's not all. It's almost like when you're coming back from astral travel and you're coming back in your body and you're not quite fully in the body yet. It's almost like that. That's what I feel it is. Because when we leave our body at night, when we come back in, if we get up and we get up fast, and we're just not integrated fully back into the physical body yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your Sisterhood of the Rose?
Yes. I was gifted, well, actually, the Divine Mother, Mother Mary, came to me. I was 22, I think, or 23 in my apartment in the early 90s. And it was the middle of the winter in Ohio. And it was probably like 15 below zero. At that time, I couldn't even afford a head of lettuce. Okay. I walked into my apartment after work. I came in and I sat down, and the next thing I could smell was roses everywhere. Just this pungent smell of roses. And I lived in a duplex, and there was nobody living downstairs, so it couldn't be coming through the vents. And I was like, what is that? And a long time ago, when I was a child, my father was saying, if you ever smell roses, that's the Divine Mother. So I called him the next day and I told him, Dad, this happened. And he goes, you're very lucky, honey. He goes, that was Mother Mary. So my father believed in that, which was very nice. It made me feel good. And since then, I had been getting visitations every now and then with the smell of roses ever since then. Always the smell of roses. And in the early 2000s, I was gifted a rose in meditation by Mother Mary, and also Isis was present, who gifted me a rose. I had done all these meditations. I'd seen myself working with Isis for a long time, who to me is the Divine Mother, is Divine Mother as well. To me, they're all one, just in different forms. And doing this work with her and creating this Sisters of the Rose, it was Sisterhood of the Rose, but it wasn't called that. Isis actually created it in Egypt. It was in Atlantis and in Atlantis. She was present in Atlantis. It was created there. And I've been connected with it ever since as a high priestess of Isis, as an activator and initiator of that program of the Magdalene Order. And in many lifetimes, even through the Christ lifetime, I was there doing that work again. I'm still doing it now. So I have the activations. I carry these codes, and I can activate women through the light language, open them up to release old contracts, to purge, and then reactivate them with the new Sisters of the Rose, which is modern day Sisters of the Rose, Sisters of Light, where there is no contract. Before we had contracts, before we came, which actually bound us to things. But now with everything changing, there's no contract anymore. Once it's released, you're open and you're just activated to do the work you're here to do in your ascension process for what you came here to teach people, or if you're working on the land or whatever, it's all activated again. And we're here to teach about ascension, moving into the light, and however, whatever work we chose to do. So it's been a connection of mine for a long, long time.
And so you have retreats at times of women come. Is it all women that come to this?
It has been all women. The one I'm doing in the Netherlands next weekend, actually, we have our first masculine. And I did say I would be open because the Magdalene Order was not just women, it was men too, which is like the Rosicrucians, Knights Templar. They work together in Christ temples. So it's always been a group, and it's always been 12 and 12 from what I've always seen. Groups of 12, 12, 12, 12. We do have a masculine, and actually William will be assisting me in that, doing that with those, because now we're introducing them into it because they're the brothers of light. We are sisters and brothers of light. So we're all doing this together. I feel the next one I'll be doing in Sedona, which will be in the fall, will probably open. It will just be open to Sisters and Brothers of Light, but titled Sisters of the Rose, so people recognize it. It's going to change. It's about unity now more than anything, rather than separation of the two sexes, because we're bringing it together in equality and harmony for 2020. We have to integrate both genders and all of the energy into oneness. So.
And so if people want to learn more about retreats, I know that they sell out quickly, but if folks wanted to learn about that, they could go to your website. Is that right?
Yes, on my upcoming events page is where I have everything there. And I keep the articles attached to it as well. They can read it on there. I just put a couple events on there in the last few days. So.
And if people wanted to watch any of your light language activations, they could see those on Facebook. I know I've seen some of those on Facebook.
Yes, they're on Facebook, but there's more on YouTube, on my YouTube. They just need to go there. And it's my name, Keleena Malnar, just like everything. It's just Keleena Malnar. It's easy to find that way. But there's a lot more on there, and there's a lot of teachings on there where I have a whiteboard where I teach things as well. So because people are very visual, and they'll have an understanding of things that way as well.
Great. And Keleena, my last question for you. For women that are stepping into their power and their strength as a woman on a spiritual journey, do you have any advice for them?
Don't give up. I see too many women that give up. I see too many that crawl back into a hole and go back to the 3D, and they don't move forward. And you need to trust in yourself. You need to believe in yourself, because they're coming out of that patriarchal control that's activated in our DNA codes. That's why I do the free DNA activations on YouTube, because it opens up that suppression, opens the codes up so that you free yourself from that, so you can start embracing who you truly are. And work with women, empowering the goddess within. One of the things I always tell them is you need to trust yourself, you need to believe in yourself, and you need to follow your own knowing. It's absolutely pertinent. Don't let other people tell you what to do or who you are.
Great. Keleena, thank you so very much for spending time with us today. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. It was an honor to be here with you.